So what we're looking at now then is just an overview of some of the core issues in politics and participation. First thing I'd like you to do is have a go at answering the 2-mark questions. Press pause and have a go. Okay, so 2 houses in the House of Parliament, House of Commons, House of Lords. The whip is an MP who tries to convince the MPs in that party to vote on the side of what they're voting for. So if they are debating free school meals in Parliament and that party wants their MPs to vote against it, the whip's job is to go around to all the other MPs and make sure they're voting the same thing. The Speaker is the chair of the House of Commons, so a bit like the Jeremy Kyle controls who can talk and who can't. Okay, let's press pause, try and fill this bit in. So the legislature is Parliament, that's the whole of Parliament, House of Commons, House of Lords and the Queen. They debate, make and change the laws. The judiciary are judges, they put the law into place when it's needed, they're neutral and it keeps our criminal justice system unbiased. And the executive of the government, they're the ones who run the country, the Prime Minister. So why is it important to keep our judiciary free from a political party? In the USA, they don't. Their judiciary, a lot of the judges are elected in. It's really important because it keeps our legal system unbiased and politically neutral. It means that if you've committed a crime, you won't be sentenced based on your political party's, but on the political party's belief. So, for example, one political party might be extremely harsh on gang crime, like knife crime and stuff, and give you a harsher sentence, whereby they might let middle class crime, like fraud and stuff, get away more easily. So it's really important to the freedoms of people in society for it to be a free and fair trial as part of our human rights, and it's a huge part of being in a democracy. That's not to say our criminal justice system is completely free from bias. We know there are issues, particularly with ethnicity, and we've spoken about that last lesson. We also know that there are issues with judges who tend to be male, over 65, from quite a posh upbringing, maybe gone to public school, and probably white as well, so they might have their own inbuilt biases. Okay, so this question looks horrible. It says in the UK, Parliament is the supreme lawmaker and its decisions are final. In other countries, Supreme Courts have the right to overturn laws for being unconstitutional. Examine the case for giving the powers to the UK Supreme Court to overturn decisions and laws made by Parliament. In the answer you should consider the roles of Parliament and the Supreme Court and the nature of the UK Constitution. This question looks horrible, it's not. It's basically saying, should the Supreme Court be able to overturn laws Parliament have made, or should it just be Parliament? You have to address the 2 bullet points. The first one, the blue, I've put in blue, our Supreme Court came into effect in 2009. It can't overturn decisions by Parliament, even though it's the highest court in the UK. The second point in yellow, our constitution is uncodified and unwritten, so that might change. So what I've said then, arguments why the Supreme Court should have these powers. Judges in Supreme Court are the top judges in the country. They're very, very experienced. They are the 11 top judges with high qualifications, a lifetime of experience in law. MPs probably haven't got any legal experience, so why are they the ones making our laws? Under the separation of powers, our judiciary are politically neutral. They're not allowed to be part of a political party. Therefore, they're not politically biased, so maybe their laws will have less of a bias to them. And also, the Supreme Court's already made changes. In 2019, they told Boris Johnson and the government that they had to stop the prorogation of Parliament. They could do that because it wasn't Parliament that had decided it, just the government. So they've already proven that they can have power and they can make big changes. Against this, to say no, it should only be Parliament, MPs represent their constituents, so they're representing us. We have a representative democracy. They are our representatives in the legal system, as in far as being the legislator and making laws. Also, our MPs are elected. This is fully democratic. They should be the ones who make laws because we've elected them. Judges also tend to have their inbuilt bias, which we spoke about recently. So here you've got an 8-mark question. Press pause and have a go. We then move on to some revision. So these are just like dual coding pictures and things to help you revise stuff. So here I've got a 2-hump camel. I remember that for bicameral parliament. Bi is 2, cameral sounds like camel. In my first hump I've got about the House of Lords, in the second lump the House of Commons. At the head I've reminded myself that our head of state is the monarch, not the Prime Minister. And then I've also got my roles of Parliament. They're there to hold the government to account, to scrutinise what they do, so the government can't just make their own rules up. They have to make and amend laws, and they represent our citizens. My second poster then is on proportional and non-proportional voting systems. Proportional I've got represented by a pie and portions of a pie, and non-representational my 2-horse race. So proportional is our full PR. That's where you go and vote for whoever you want to win the election. The number of MPs is there by a representation of the percentage of votes that party gets. So if Conservatives get 40% of the votes, 40% of the MPs are from Conservative, and so on. This is brilliant because it's really democratic. Every vote counts. It also gives smaller parties a chance. The problem is with it though, you're going to get a coalition government because it's very rare that one party will get 50% of the vote. That can lead to a weak government which can allow extreme parties in. Non-proportional systems then, the main one we know about is first past the post. That's what we use. Countries divided into 650 constituencies. You go out in your constituency, the person who gets the most votes becomes the MP. They then count up the number of MPs per party. If you get 325 or more, you've got more than half, more than the post. You win the election, you form a government, your leader becomes the Prime Minister. The problem is with this is that if you don't get half, then you have to form a coalition. But the main problem is how many votes are wasted. So within your constituency, everybody that didn't vote for the person who got voted in, all of their votes are literally put in the bin. So that's not very democratic. It also pretty much leads to a 2-horse race between Conservative and Labour, which isn't fair on the smaller parties. You do, however, though, get a really strong government usually and a strong opposition. The last one's on devolution. So devolution is the transfer of power from central government to local or regional government. So giving powers to your local council or giving them to Scottish Parliament, Northern Irish Assembly or the Welsh Assembly. And we've seen this over the coronavirus where they've been able to control their tier systems and lockdown systems. It's brilliant because local leaders understand their people far more. They know what they need to do in their local areas. It's better for the people because they can contact the decision makers much more readily. It gives you a much better identity and forms communities. However, what about tax? For example, people don't like the fact that in Scotland you get free uni places, you get free prescriptions, and now they're giving free sanitary products, which is great if you're in Scotland, but the rest of the UK population get quite upset because, well, why can't their taxes be spent on it? You've also got the problem with English votes for English laws. So MPs from England say, if you've got your assemblies, you've got your parliament, don't vote when it comes to our issues in the House of Commons. That causes massive problems because we voted the House of Commons as the House of Commons. That's our democratic system. So it can cause a lot of issues.